Welcome back to this episode of My Strange Addictions. Just kidding, welcome back. I'm your host, Talon, and today we're going to be continuing off of what we did last episode, which was some things that you might need to consider or at least look for whenever you're doing CQB or at least a tactical situation, primarily within an indoor environment. That's going to be mainly what that was centered around compared to maybe something that would be more outdoors based. However, this is going to be into the actual cool stuff of room clearing, and I have like a pseudo box room setup, which is going to be the most basic that we can start off with, and then we'll be able to grow and continue from there. But before we do anything whatsoever, we have to give a huge shout out to mckydex.com. He is the one that is giving us the space. He is also the one that you will see on all of my belt accessories, the Kydex molded mag carriers, as well as the Hell holster that I'm utilizing in today's video. So utilize Talon_Meyer for the coupon code to get 15% off of your order today. You can find links to his website in the description down below. No, why? So now we're actually going to go into our box here and we're going to put some of that into practice. Now, from my point of view, I absolutely love going through the motions. It's kind of something that I'll try to do, and it's almost like meditative because I'm just repeating an action and a motion, and I'm just not really thinking. So I find that this is a lot of fun. It'd be a lot more fun if I had some friends or some buddies that would want to come out as often as I do and go do these things with me. However, even within Airsoft or even just regular like indoor gameplay, I may not have a regular team that would, move fluidly with me, because Airsoft is a game of getting hit with a BB anywhere on the kit. It's very easy for either the other team or one of us in our stack to get hit and then have to go back. So it is almost more beneficial if you learn to do this as an individual and then slowly start to increase more friends and more teammate-based tactics. So what are some of the things that we are looking for when it comes to the actual tactical side of things specifically? We talked about it last video, and that's going to be our slow, smooth walk. And we're going to talk about pie in a corner. So when I come up to a doorway, one of the things that I'm looking for is specifically identifying, is this a left hand or a right hand doorway? Wherever my cover is, so if I'm along, I've got our caution tape as our wall here. If I'm coming up to this doorway right here, and I want to check what is on the other side of this doorway, as I'm coming up here and I'm coming out and I'm trying to clear what is around this doorway here, I am exposing so much of my body to the left-hand side here because my cover is on the right and I'm right-handed. So much of my profile is now exposed and is able to get hit and shot up. So what I want to do is ideally get extremely comfortable and familiar with left-hand orientation. So now my profile is that much smaller and I can mitigate how much of my body or my kit is exposed to the other team. Now there's a couple of ways in order to minimize that profile. If I am right-handed, I could shift my elbow over, prop that in. I could shift my rifle over to my left-hand side here, and then guess what? Now my profile is that much smaller as I'm coming around a corner. So this is almost matched by this. Now I have all of my hand, all of my arm here exposed as well. So in order to minimize this, the best thing to do is to come here. Now, all that is exposed is the bare knuckles of my hands, the little bit of my shoulder, and the left-hand side of my face right here. So now, if I'm right-handed, that it's the same profile as this. So getting comfortable with your left hand, if this is what you intend to do, is super, super, super beneficial. But there are ways to cheat. So we talked last episode about how there's a whole lot of mass and a whole lot of meat of our optics and our rifle that's going to be in front of our way. There's a whole lot of people and individuals potentially on the other team and maybe on ours that are really, really good about creating a low profile indoors. So they may prioritize from their rifles, they may approach a doorway and immediately go to their pistols and creep down and underneath where our muzzles are pointed. So guess what? If I'm on a corner like this and I have all this meat right in front of me and someone is down underneath me getting that same doorway and they're underneath here and they've got their pistol, guess what? Bam, 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 they've got me dead to rights. So what I want to do is I want to have my muzzle ideally down. So guess what? If there's anyone that's going to be really low, I can come off of safe, shoot them once. Unfortunately, it might be right in the face, but at least they're dead. And if I ever have someone that's in front of me, I can snap that rifle up right to where my point of contact is going to be. And again, that point of contact is so close from here to here that it almost doesn't matter. The time from here to here is negligible. If I've got my rifle down and rolled out of my shoulder and I'm trying to peek this and then there's someone, now guess what? That is now a lot of time from rifle down to rifle up. But let's get back on track. Let's talk about clearing a corner. So I've got my doorway right here, right? And I am coming around a corner. I gotta do something about these because I don't need them just yet. And I don't need them on me. So let's say this is my door right here. So what I've done is, as I'm coming up to my doorway right here, I'm already seeing a crack in my door. So I can come right up to it. I'm already clearing some of this door. Now I'm not coming right up to the door. I'm gonna be off by a couple of feet. And what that's going to do, that's going to allow me time and space to cut through as much of the doorway as possible. So what I'm doing is I'm taking, by practice, my rifle and I'm cutting a slice of the pie. So I'm coming up and I'm coming down. And I'm slowly and methodically clearing out this room. Now, I am not completely honed in on where my muzzle is pointed because, like I was saying, I've not 100% cleared this corner. I'm gonna grab that from my other point of view. So I've cleared from here, I've cleared here, and I've cleared almost to our target. So I have cleared out 90% of this room just by myself. The deepest corners, I am still missing. So by the time that I get to about here, now granted with this doorway, I can see my target, I can engage him, and because we've got our door right here, I am mostly in cover. If he's right-handed, I'm shooting his left shoulder. So check this out. If he was not a smart bad guy, and he had no idea that I was coming, and his rifle is in this hand right here, right? Because right-handed, you're gonna be holding your rifle like this. So this is his rifle, here's his shoulder, okay? So as I'm coming up to this doorway, notice that where this camera is sitting, that big camera, I don't have immediate access to that corner. So I'm coming here. Again, not directly onto the corner, I am coming off. So I'm giving myself that space and thus that time to come around the corner, kill whatever might be within here, a lot of dead space. So by the time I get to here, ooh, guess what? See where that column is, that stand? I can right here hit his shoulder, and his rifle in his right hand isn't even clearing where my rifle is. I have to take another step, and now that's where his rifle is pointed at me. So I'm giving myself time to come in, hit him before I can continue onwards. And guess what? From this point of view, I can clear this corner, which means shoulder change, I can now come around this other direction. Again, giving myself the space right here because I don't need to be here, right up on this doorway. I can give myself the space in this situation and commit in. Or even better yet, to take that element of surprise, go down and come in. And now, theoretically, if everything goes according to plan, I have cleared this entire room by myself.
So here's going to be a top-down example of what clearing a room by yourself is going to look like as far as a center feed. Now, always doing room clearing by yourself is always going to be absolutely dangerous. You are open and exposing yourself to so many dangers, but this is the technique that I've utilized the most. So I've made contact with the dude in the corner, and you can either go directly to the corner of that dominance and then turn around and try to find anyone in the bottom right-hand quarter. Or the other line of thinking is once you've made contact with the dude in the bottom left-hand corner, more than likely there should be someone else across the room with them. It's a risk either way. It's a 50-50 shot of getting shot in the back, but that's just the chance that you're taking when you're doing these room clearings alone.
Now let's say you are number one man. Our target is still in this pocket back here. If I'm number one man, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move and make adjustments. I'm going to start clearing that. Now my number two guy, or whoever is next behind me, is going to take my spot along the wall. Again, not touching the wall, because we talked about gear rubbing up against the wall. That's going to create sound, and anyone in the room is going to know that we are outside this room. So number one is going to come out here. Number two is going to be now right here. He's going to be covering this corner right here that I have not been able to commit to. So my number one, I'm going to come right here. I'm going to start clearing this. We don't know if there's anyone on the inside of here, so I don't need to start saying anything. Now, tactically speaking, that could that could not work in our favor. If we're not talking, we may not be able to communicate to maybe a friendly force on the inside of the room here. My perspective, my point of view for airsoft specifically airsoft, is that if I have the element of surprise, if no one knows that I'm in there, but I'm clearing this room, he may not even have his rifle up. So I can, using the 3 S's, identify with sight that he's wearing the same camo pattern that I am. Then I go, oh, blue, 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 blue. And we're on the same team, right? Now, if I'm, again, number one, and I'm clearing through this, and all of a sudden, this corner man starts to jump out, I identify he's on the wrong team. I can start engaging him, and I can immediately tell we've made contact, we have broken that silence, and I'm immediately communicating to number three. One man, one man, one man, one man. One bad guy, one red, or one UFS, or whatever the distinction is, that there is now one bad guy in this room. And now what number two guy can do with that information is if he now goes really deep and I don't want to commit to that corner because now he's just blasting rounds right past me, guess what? I'm going to hang out right here. I'm not going to commit to this corner while he is shooting. There's no reason for me to. There's two of us, there's one of him. I can back off, or I can do a small retreat back to my guy right here. If we have an entire hallway, right? If there's an entire hallway and this is room number one and we've broken that contact and we have no idea how many other enemy players there are, why am I gonna push past this room to have one dude on our 6 and potentially an infinite number of other enemies to our front, right? I can very easily just say, we've made contact with room number one. We have no reason to be here. Let's backtrack it out and let's reconfigure. All right, let's reset. However, if he is shooting, right? Bad guy is shooting past me. I'm hanging out and I've got my rifle on that breach of what I am covering. So as soon as bad guy breaks into my line of sight, guess what? He is dead. My guy right here can pull out a grenade, toss it in, and guess what? When we've got a grenade tossed at the foot of our bad guy, who we have trapped and cornered into this corner right here, where's he gonna go? He's either going to go directly into my line of sight that I am covering, and guess what? He could preemptively start spraying as he's moving, potentially hit me while I hit him, or he stays cowered here and gets blasted with a grenade. My 2 cents, if I am bad guy right here and I see a grenade come off right here, guess what? I am going to start blasting this doorway as I am moving from that grenade. Because grenades are loud, they throw a bunch of shit at me. They could definitely, I have had them blast near my balls. I'm gonna get out of that corner and I'm going to try to take as many people with me as possible. So in the game of Airsoft, the bad guys that you're trying to outmaneuver and outthink are taking in the same information, seeing a lot of the same videos that you are seeing as well. So in the game of Airsoft, it's a lot of even matchmaking, and you have to kind of outmaneuver the other guys in order to try to get even or do better. So it is a lot of mind games and a lot of maneuvering. So the pink headset is now coming on. This is that electronic noise amplifying and denoising system, and it doubles as a radio communication device. So this is really, really cool. A lot of guys will give me shit because they're pink. Guess what? If I am out shooting you in a tactical environment, I can wear whatever the heck I want, right? So in the case of this headset, communication is absolutely key. And what we're trying to do is, with this center fed room specifically, again, because we're getting familiar with it, I'm going to have my dummy, my cardboard paper, set behind something that's going to give us dead space. Dead space is if we pretend like this is a countertop or a space that has, we can't physically see. We don't know what's behind it. It's dead space. So if I come into the, see the room, and I'm clearing this corner, and I start to see this, I can either keep going. If I don't see him, I'm gonna go dead space, far corner, and I'm gonna keep moving. So with that dead space in mind, whenever we do make entry into the room, that's going to be where maybe we're going to focus on. And maybe we don't want to clear this doorway. Maybe we just want to bust in. If I'm number one guy, I say dead space right, and I go to the left, I'm gonna find my corner of dominance, I'm gonna clear it, immediately transition and start sweeping left and prioritize that dead space. And again, I don't know what is behind that dead space. But if I know this corner is clear, that corner is clear, I can better prioritize that dead space that we have no idea what is behind. And when I come in as number one, I yell dead space right. Number two man that's going to come around the corner is going to find that dead space, find his corner, immediately sweep towards that dead space, and he's going to also prioritize that space. Because again, his point of dominance, 1, 2, and now 3 as his point of dominance. Number 3, again, odd numbers one direction, even numbers the other. Number 3, find that dead space, prioritize his corner, it's clear. Now we're going to find that dead space and help prioritize that. Number 4, same thing. He's gonna hear that dead space, he's gonna prioritize it, get to his corner, it's clear, prioritize dead space. 3 other barrels at this point are now pointed towards it. He's gonna keep it on there until we absolutely clear. So 1 and 2 are gonna come up here along the sides. They're gonna find that space and they're gonna yell clear. Only yell clear once your points of domination and the entire room has been cleared. If we come in and number 1 comes in and it's an empty ass room, he clears his point, clear, 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 clear. He can then yell out loud, room clear, if there is nothing in here, which tells number 2, which should already be in the room, and number 3, which should already be in the room, that this is clear. Now they're gonna still find their points of dominance, but they have the freedom to look around and make sure that it is absolutely clear. But number 4, once he comes in, he sees that 1, 2, 3 are already yelling clear and it's all good. He no longer needs to prioritize his corner. He can now come right here. And again, this is airsoft tactics specifically. Airsoft tactics specifically. Now I've been in this situation before, both as that target and as the one that's clearing that target. So the best thing to do is, as I'm clearing this corner, right, we're not committing to it, but I'm gonna find that dead space. If there's someone right behind it, guess what? And then I'm gonna cut back behind the corner and I'm gonna go dead space, lob a grenade, far corner. So number 2 guy, if he's got the grenade, grab the grenade, prep it, and he's gonna go maybe a little bit higher because he wants to clear any type of dead space that is right here. He's not gonna go, a typical grenade will get thrown waist level or chest level. Let's see if I've got a pseudo grenade. I'll use a glove. So if there's no dead space into the room, why would I take a grenade and throw it in that's going to get lobbed in really high? Why lob it in high? At that height, someone could catch it and just throw it right back. That's happened before.
Oh, that was, I caught it too bad.
Right? So don't give them the chance. Have your grenade, throw it, put it into the ground, make them dive and dig for it, give them that time trying to hunt for the grenade, so it's a longer fuse time for that grenade to go off either in their hand or before they even get access to it. Now in the case of dead space, guess what? We don't have a whole lot of a choice. We've got to get that grenade into the dead space, which means number 2 here is gonna find it, it's gonna go higher, and guess what? It went over the head of our barricaded suspect here, or barricaded target, right? Because he's got cover, potentially a counter space. It went over his head and it went right behind him. Guess what? The amount of time it's gonna take for him to turn around, find that grenade and try to find it, if his back is turned hunting for that grenade, I, as point man, can come, I'm in cover, I see my number 2 man throw that grenade, I come up, and while he's digging and hunting for that grenade, if he has anything that I can hit, I'm going to hit it. Grenades are so freaking useful. All right, that was our dead space. And it's communicating that piece of information. As point man, contact, dead space, he's behind dead space, throw that grenade far, deep corner. He's behind a counter. And then guess what? Here's the other thing that annoys me. Here's the other thing that annoys me. As point man, number 2 and number 3 don't need to have barrels immediately into the doorway. If I'm point man and I have this, I'm gonna find my cover here. If I've got this right here and I've got his shoulder, guess what? Stay out of my way, because if I need to come into cover, the amount of guys that have these speed triggers, that a quick jostle of a movement that will get their weapon to misfire. If someone is right in front of them where that muzzle is pointed, guess what? Friendly fire counts, he is dead, he's got to go to respawn. So I've already helped the other team by removing one of the people that's in my stack, and I look like a dick. So if I'm number 1, right, and I don't have a misfiring rifle right here, I don't need someone in front of me, right? I've got this. This is no problem. I could sit here all day. Right? Point taken. Which means number 2 and number 3 don't need to come either behind me, past where I've cleared, right? If I'm right here and I'm right behind cover, number 2 or number 3 tries to come around me, guess what? If I'm barely peeking around cover, they need to step way beyond cover. And that means most of their profile is able to get hit by that enemy player. So don't try to be my backup. And again, if he's here, if number 2 or number 3 is right here, and they need to come back, and I'm point man, I am point man. Do not come right behind me. If they're number 2 or number 3 and they come back into cover and they freak out and they misfire, it's going right in my back. They might feel good because now they become point man, but I'm not too happy about it. So number 2, if you're number 2 man, do yourself a solid, stay out of point man's way, right? Come back, be his cover or his grenades. Number 3, stay back. Feel free to take a couple steps back. If there is more than one, right? We've only put one target up. If there's a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th guy in there, guess what? If we've got our huddle right here, what's to say, as a smart enemy player, if I was someone else that's right here, guess what? He's made contact. If I'm now someone that's on the inside here, if he's made contact and he's telling me that there's 1 or 2 enemy players on the other side of this doorway, guess what? A smart person, smart player, might come up with their grenade and immediately drop it from around the corner, right? That is what a smart player would do. So by all means, 3 and 4, let them do most of the work, give them the space. Definitely number 4 or number 5, get ready. If a grenade goes off, get ready to grab them, drag them back into cover, and get them medicked and up. Because now they have more sensitive information. Once I get them up, they're gonna go, guess what? There's 2 guys in there, and one of them has grenades. Also, while these are awesome for communication and radio work, they do get very sweaty very quickly. So be awares.
And that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for staying to the end of this video. Go check out mckydex.com and stay tuned for some upcoming episodes where we do, in the next one, a corner-fed room. Love showing these off to you guys and giving you my insight after years of playing this game. Tactically, it is so much fun, and I love sharing this with you guys. So stay tuned for the next episode.